Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to take a sales page and use AI to write headlines and subheads. I'm really excited about this. A lot of people ask me if, as a copywriter, I am in any way afraid of AI or intimidated by AI. And the honest answer is, at least at this point, in the early summer days of 2023, no, I think that AI is an excellent tool as a copywriter, especially for long form copy, things like blogs, sales pages, things that used to take me several hours, potentially even a couple of days to write, depending on the amount of research that had to go into it, depending on, the amount of words that needed to go into it. It can really take that time and it can essentially cut it in half. So things that used to take me 4 and 5 hours are now taking me 2.5, 3 hours. And it's amazing. I can get so much more done for myself, for my business, also for my clients that I couldn't necessarily all pack into a day before. The thing about AI, though, is that it is not perfect. So it gets smarter the more that we use it, right? And so it's important to know how to teach the tool to work for you so that when it's generating things for you, you can take them and you can tweak them so that they match your brand, your voice, so that you're using, again, you're using it as a tool. You're not using it kind of as a be all end all. So that's one of the things that I teach in my course, Copy Mechanic. I teach you how to take copy that you've already written, your sales pages, your email sequences, and how to make the little tweaks that will make it sound better, that will help it to sell more, because that's its entire job. And you don't need to start from scratch with these things. You don't even need to hire a professional copywriter to write your copy for you. All you need to know are the tips and the tricks that professional copywriters use. If you were to hand them your sales page and say, hey, how could I make this convert higher? You need to understand how a copywriter's mind works so that it can be written for you better. And that's what my course Copy Mechanic teaches. And that's also, I'm going to include some of that in our little lesson today as we're going through and learning how to use AI, and in particular ChatGPT, to write sales page headline and subhead, and maybe even a little bit of intro copy here. So we're going to see how this goes. So here's what I came up with for what we're going to write today. We're doing a sales page. And let me move this up a little bit for you. So we're going to write a sales page. This is going to be a sales page for a coach who wants to start a new program. It's geared toward women who are looking to start their own business. This is your ICA, or your ideal customer avatar. You may have also heard this referred to as a ideal customer profile, or even just a customer profile. And that is usually a lot more in depth, but for today's purposes, we're going to keep it pretty high level. So this program is geared towards women, late 20s, mid 30s. They have kids and they've been out of the workforce since, but they want to get back in, and they're providing a service. That is, that they are providing something digitally. Maybe they are a coach, maybe they're a writer, maybe they're a designer, maybe they offer consulting services, or are a speaker, anything that they can do from a digital standpoint, but not necessarily a product standpoint, like an Etsy shop or something like that. So that is what we are writing the sales page to, right? We're writing it to this new program that's targeting this particular type of audience. So we open up ChatGPT. So then the best thing that you can do for yourself to start out, I think, is to give it as much information as possible. So I would say, you can tell I'm from the Midwest. I say hello, I say please, I say thank you. Yes, I'm definitely Midwestern. Okay, so I say, hello, I'm a coach and I'm creating a new program for women wanting to start a new business. This is the ideal customer for it. And then I would put this in here. And then I would say, can you generate some headlines? And let's just see what happens. See, then it greets me back nicely. Usually if I don't say like hello or please or thank you, then I just get sometimes I just get the straight up. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. All right, so let's take these and let's chat through a few of them here. So it gave us some headlines and subheads. That's great. Okay, so thing to note for sure, you always want your headlines to start with some kind of action word. Here's why. A lot of people start out their headlines with something like, learn to, how to, this is how you, sometimes they even start them out with words like, welcome or happy to have you here or something like that. That is a big waste of prime real estate. So what you consider your top panel, you should always have a very appealing headline, subhead, and at least one clickable button. If you can put a little body copy in there, great. It's not necessary, but that top panel is really prime real estate. It's before the scroll. So you want people to be instantly intrigued and to want to learn more. You want them to be able to click on that, buy it now or download it now or book your call button right away. And so that's what you should have on that very top panel. So if you currently have something like, hello or welcome or my name is or anything like that on your primo top space of your website, I would highly recommend that you take what you learned here today and give it a little bit of an update that's more geared toward what it is that you focus on in your business, what your brand message is, what you aim to do through your products or services. So with that in mind, I would automatically say, and just looking at the first word, find is okay, from is okay, but they're not super exciting, right? So if I automatically take those out, and then, okay, so I love empowering. I love unlock, although unlock is a little overdone. Discover's a little overdone. Transform's nice. So let's bring this one up a little higher. Breaking barriers, that's nice alliteration, that B on B action. So let's bring that one up. Ignite's okay. Again, it's starting to get a little overdone. Same with revive. Reinvent's okay. Reinvent's okay. Okay, so these are the four that again, just at first glance that I would utilize. Now, here's the thing that I want you to keep in mind about your headlines and your subheads. When you're writing headlines and subheads, someone should be able to scan only your headlines and subheads and be able to get the entire gist of your sales page, because that's what people naturally do. We are naturally inclined to scan. So while you are very focused on all of that additional copy, the paragraphs, the bullets, all of those types of things that go into a sales page, the hard truth is that as long as you have a rocking headline, a rocking subhead, and you have some really good, well-written subheads on the rest of the length of your page that give a decent idea of what it is that you do, if somebody just reads those, you're in pretty good shape. So with that, if we say, okay, so empowering women, okay, well, there's a lot of things that could be, I guess, if we're just taking away if the subhead, transform your skills into profit. I do kind of like that. Breaking barriers is okay. And reinvent your career. Okay, so of these four, then reading through the entire headline, I would say that empowering women and transform your skills into profit are the two most powerful. And here's why. Transform your skills into profit is it's catchy, right? So it makes me want to learn more. What do you mean? Transform my skills into profit. Now, the only thing that I feel like this is missing is that it doesn't necessarily speak to women specifically. There are a lot of ways that you could do that with like the design of your page, for instance. There are a lot of, like the why can't I think of it? This thing, the the script, the font. There we go. I'm a copywriter. The font that you use can signify that it's more geared toward a female audience. The colors that your brand uses can signify the type of layout that you use, the type of photos that you use. Like there are so many different ways that you can gear a sales page toward a particular audience in ways that are not necessarily your words. That said, I would really like to see something about women up here, because while this is well written, transform your skills into profit, I feel like it is missing that element of feminine. So let's see, how can we play with this a little bit here? Transform your skills into profit, or even empowering women. So here, let's take out these subheads because we're going to worry about those a little later. Now, the great thing about a headline is that it really can be anything, because your headline, or your subhead is what needs to do the heavy lifting. Your subhead needs to essentially describe your headline. That said, neither of these headlines on their own are exceedingly exciting. So transform your skills into profit. Empowering women. So let's come up with a few variations here. So if I were to take this and I said to ChatGPT, I like this one. Can you come up with a few variations? Monetize your talents, expertise to income, turn your abilities into cash, unlock your earning potential. Skillful, harness your abilities, skills to success, from skill set to success. Those are all, I don't know, they're just pretty bland, right? Like they're very commonplace. And so then here is where I would say that you need to break away from AI when it comes to writing your headline. Use what it gives you, but understand that you need to change it up in order to make it more powerful. So we've already talked about, this first word. So if you start out with an action word, that's wonderful. We want to make it a little bit more feminine though. So maybe it's something like, let's come up with a few ideas here. So transform your skills. So maybe if we open up a thesaurus and we type in the word transform. Do we like any of these? Let's see. Maybe those are all pretty. I'm not in love with any of them, actually. Maybe revolutionize, but that feels it's a little strong for what we're trying to accomplish here. What about reclaim? Restore, no. So we want to focus on the positive, right? So restore, salvage. I mean, those are all, like, the words are okay, but they just come with a little bit of a negative connotation. So if your audience is women that are trying to break back into the workforce, they already probably have some doubts about this. Can I do this? Is this something I'm even capable of? Like, they are already probably talking down to themselves a lot. So we don't want to use words that would maybe be mistaken for a negative connotation. So words like restore, words like salvage, rescue, recover, like none of these are words that I would use if I was trying to entice a woman into my program. I would not use these words. All right. So thesaurus isn't going to help us out. So now we just have to use our brain. So what can we do? So what else are we doing? So we're transforming, we're maybe mastering, we're maybe becoming, we're maybe starting. Like these are all some words that ChatGPT didn't come up with, right? So starting and skills would have a little bit of alliteration if we could put them back to back. Let's see. Targeted advertising. You can tell that I have a child. Go, go, squeeze, applesauce. Okay. Transform your skills into profit. I like something like, what if we were to do something like, and again, missing that feminine touch. So transform skills into profit, empowering. Let's see here. Mastering the art of online business for women. I don't like that, but again, you just type out your ideas. This is kind of how we do this, right? You just kind of have to use what you have on the page, and it takes some thinking sometimes. You kind of have to work your way through it. But I do like mastering the art. What are some other words for like female or woman, or like feminine, nurturing, womanish. I don't know about womanish. I do like nurturing for a subhead though. So let's see here. Okay, so if we were to go, let's say our headline, let's say transform your skill. I of the two, I think that this is the one that I would prefer. So transform your maybe if we even just change skills to knowledge. Transform your knowledge into profit. And I do really like transform. So then I would just go over here and I would look, are there any words that I could add? Maybe a little bit of alliteration, something that starts with a T or a K that I like, but I don't like turnout. And there aren't any Ks. So maybe a T, no, maybe a P. Transform your, no. No. Okay, so we've got I like transform your knowledge into profit. And we'll come back and do an alt. So then if we go on to our subhead, how can we describe this headline in more depth? So we were talking about how this didn't really have much of a feminine touch to it. Now, if we kind of leave it more or less how ChatGPT had it, switching out skills just felt, knowledge feels more, from a copy standpoint, feminine, whereas skills in the brain, if you sit with it for a while, might feel a little bit more masculine. might lean more into skills like if you're thinking of labor type of skills, whereas knowledge leans into that idea that women are kind of the keepers of information, right? So even just little tweaks like that, changing skills over to knowledge, is a powerful way to zhuzh up that headline a bit. So then, okay, so these are the two subheads that ChatGPT came up with. We've got reclaim your career and start your own online business, launch an online business for stay-at-home moms. I really don't like either of those. You know, these are all just kind of generic, to be honest. So then here, let's see if I can come up with a few more of them. I like this one the most. So let's see what it does. All right, so if we're reading transform your knowledge into profit, that is intriguing, but what does it really mean? Who is it really for? So then my subhead needs to say exactly who it's for, exactly what it is. So let's say this is 5-week program for women. And then let's see what ChatGPT has here. We could say who want to, okay. So at first glance, we might come up with something like this: a 5-week program for women who want to reclaim, so we change that, their career and start their own online business. Now, so a couple tweaks. So if we were to hop on a sales page and we were to see transform your knowledge into profit, a 5-week program for women who want to reclaim their career and start their own online business. So there's a couple of tweaks though that I think that we can make to this that would make it even stronger. Again, using using the copy that ChatGPT gave us, now that we've got a little bit more information. So this would be your CTA button right here at the top, right? Join the program. And then people click it and then they can just register for the program. So, okay, so let's leave this alone for now. A 5-week program for, now it's not just women, it's actually for stay-at-home moms, right? So these are women that have been out of the workforce since having kids. That means that they are primarily stay-at-home moms. Maybe they work part-time, but again, just the idea, you're going to attract people that are slightly outside of your target audience, but your main goal with your headline and subhead is to target your perfect audience. So in this case, they have been out of the workforce since having kids. So this program is particularly for stay-at-home moms. Okay, so a private program for stay-at-home moms who want to reclaim their career and start their own online business, which is kind of it, right? But so The other thing about this is it's pretty long. So how can I take some of this and cut it and make it, still make it a very strong descriptor, but make it shorter? Because in general, someone's going to read the first 3 words and the last 3 words of a sentence. And that rings true for your subhead. However, for your subhead, you want to try to keep it to about, like about 10 words max. And that's got 18. That's quite a few more. So how can we make this even tighter? What are some things? Because this is a really nice, I mean, this is nice, right? So within here is all of our information, and we use ChatGPT to get to where we are now. But now comes the copywriter part of it, right? Like, this is good. This would pass, but it could be so much stronger. So let's talk about how we might consider doing that. And let's start with the subhead. So got a 5-week program for stay-at-home moms who want to reclaim their career. So maybe even something like we could take out the description, like the how long it is. So this is a program for, so they want to reclaim their career. So maybe something even like career driven. Stay at home moms teaching career driven stay-at-home moms how to turn knowledge into profit. Sure. What else would this program do? So it's teaching you that the idea of it is that it's a program for those who want to start their own business. So if you're teaching, you're essentially teaching them how to start their own business. So something along the lines of like a blueprint, or blueprint is overused. A blueprint for, let's see what ChatGPT can do. Can you come up with some subheads around the idea of a blueprint for how to start a business? Oh, okay. Let's see though. Ultimate blueprint for starting, step-by-step guide for launching your business. So step-by-step, ultimate, step-by-step, ultimate guide. Okay. So something like the step-by-step program showing so you can see how, as it kind of you can see how a copywriter kind of works, right? It's not necessarily just the first thing that you put on the page. You have to put everything down on the page, and then you kind of have to play with it a little bit. And you can see that we've brought this headline kind of down into the subhead a bit. So maybe we can change up the headline. Maybe the headline could even be like the name of the program, for instance. And then we turn our subhead just into a description of that program. So, so let's take this out because we know that that's not it, but we know that it has all the information. I would, and then if we were to change this into an action word, so if we were to say, and we don't want learn's boring. So type learn into a thesaurus. We like understand, let's see. Interpret, accept, explain. See, there's master. Comprehend. Something like discover. Again, it's a little overused, but that doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means don't use it all the time. So if you were to discover step by step, okay, where are we here? 13, still a little long, but not terrible. So for this, so then in this case, here's what I would actually do. I would actually change up the headline to the name of the program and let that just kind of be vague. Let that be what it is. And then I would just use my subhead to describe what this program is. Discover step by step how to turn your knowledge into profit as a stay-at-home mom. That doesn't really flow quite how we want it to, though. So discover, you could say for now, if you can have a use statement, I would highly recommend it. It's not a requirement, but you definitely want to keep it in mind as you're going through your page. A use statement is basically just taking something and adding the word you to it so that somebody can essentially envision themselves. So for instance, you might say something like, you could do name of the program for those of you who want to learn, something like that, but something that has you so that they can envision themselves. Name for stay at home. Okay. Now we're looking for ways to make it shorter. Wanting to learn. See, and we could probably even take this out at this point. It's still a little long to learn. Program for stay-at-home moms. There we go. Okay, so just one over. That's okay. But so if we were to read the first three, a program for, and then knowledge into profit, you kind of get the gist. You don't have this part in the middle, but it's enough. So if you were to have the name of the program up here, it's enough though that if you were just scanning it, if you can't keep it to 10 or less, at the very least try to keep it to about 2 lines on your page when it's in that box. Now this would probably get knocked down to something like that, right, on a screen, and then you'd have your CTA here, join the program, something like that. So this is ultimately what I would do. The headlines that ChatGPT came up with are not bad necessarily, right? So a lot of them start with these action words, but the problem with a lot of these is that they're fairly generic. They don't necessarily speak to the audience that you're trying to speak to. And that's kind of the issue with the subheads it came up with as well. It's not that they're necessarily bad. They use some interesting words. They follow a formula that has the potential to be successful, but ultimately you still need to take what it has given you and tweak it so that it is stronger, more concise, and maybe just has a little bit more, has more information in it toward your target audience. But you can see how we kind of went back and forth between ChatGPT, using a thesaurus, kind of just using our own knowledge about who our audience is, maybe our own backgrounds as trying to write the copy for our own website, and kind of playing with a little bit until you get an ideal formula that works. So ultimately what you might do is you could even A/B test, right? So you could have a subhead and then you could have an alt, and you could split your audience 50-50 and see what works better for your audience. So if you have your subhead, so you have the name of the program, and then all I would change up then would be the subhead. So I would have the headline, that's the name of the program. I would have the subhead. So our first one, a program for stay-at-home moms wanting to turn knowledge into profit. We kind of talked about the idea that, that word knowledge is a bit better than skills. We want to speak to a specific audience of stay-at-home moms. They're looking to maybe bring in some money into their household, and it's a program, right? So you've kind of got all those descriptors here. Now, an alternate though, that may not be as descriptive, but is still interesting. Honestly, either of these. This one is probably a bit more, this one probably gives a bit more background, but it obviously is a bit longer as well. So then how can we cut it down? Teaching career-driven stay-at-home moms. And debating whether or not we need the stay-at-home bit for this. Teaching career-driven. So here's the debate, because they've been out of the workforce, right? Now, if we take out stay-at-home, then career-driven moms might attract a different sort of audience. It might attract women who are already in the workforce and who are also moms. However, it does get to the point of, turning knowledge into profit. So maybe this would just be a different approach. So teaching, you could even just say teaching, let's see, stay at home moms how to make okay. So then if you put in something like this, make money from home, that suggests that you're not in an office, right? So then you could do something like, so then you could change it up to something like this, teaching career-driven moms how to make money from home. You could even add on something like with nothing but a laptop, right? So then that gets it, I mean, then it gets a little bit longer, but it's just kind of a different approach to what it is that your program teaches and who it's for. And then you would want to keep your, again, you could test that and you could see, which one gets more clicks versus which one gets more enrollments. Maybe you get more clicks on something like this, but then ultimately when somebody is reading about who the program is for, maybe it just doesn't hit home as much as it would for somebody who clicks when they see this part here, right? So that would be a test that you could do. You could split your traffic 50-50. You could send half of them to this page. You could send the other half to this page. You would leave your headline the same and you would leave your CTA the same. And you would see ultimately which one gets more, you could see which one gets more scrolls. You could use a site like a Hotjar or something like that to determine where people are essentially falling out of your sales page, which one generates more interest, more hovers over this CTA right here. And then you can use that knowledge to tweak your sales page over time so that you can make it the strongest that it can be. So that's ultimately how I would recommend using a site like ChatGPT, like Copymatic, like Jasper, anything like that, how you can essentially use AI to help you write a sales page. So as you can see, it does a lot of work for you, right? For me, as a copywriter, it does a great job of helping to generate ideas. And then I can take those ideas and kind of run with them to make a more powerful statement. And that is how I would encourage you to use it. It's not, again, it's not that what it's coming up with here is bad. It's just not overly strong. And what's going to happen, I think, in time is that eventually Google is going to come up with an algorithm that's going to start to essentially punish people who have copy that is written in an AI type of form. So that's why it's really important to not necessarily use your AI verbatim. You really want to take it and transform it into your own audience, your own brand, your own voice. So use it as guideposts, but don't necessarily use it word for word, at least not as far as writing things like sales pages. There are some things that you can use it verbatim for. For instance, if you're a realtor and you're writing real estate descriptions, that would be a great thing to use it for. You could just use that word for word. That's totally fine. But for the purposes of a sales page, I would not recommend using it word for word. I would recommend using it as a tool, how I taught you today. Now, again, if you enjoy what you learned here, if you thought that this was helpful, if you would like even more of a peek into how a copywriter writes their copy, I would recommend you look into my course, Copymatic. I'm sorry, not, wow, that's an AI tool. My course, Copy Mechanic. I will drop the link down below for you. You can check it out. It is for female business owners who are writing their own copy, who are writing their own sales pages, who are writing their own emails, and who know that their copy is good, but they want it to be better. I go through all of the tips and tricks that I use when I am writing these assets, which are exceedingly important assets to a small business. And I show you how you can take things and how you can turn copy that you already have into something stronger, which is what everybody should want for their copy, right? You should want it to be the strongest version of itself. So I hope you found this informative, helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas as to how you can use AI to your benefit. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll also drop that in the section below.